What is system decomposition? System decomposition is a process of decomposing the overall system into manageable parts. Obviously, the system we want to design is a large system, and we cannot go about designing the system as a whole in one go. Rather, we would break down the system into smaller parts that are self-contained and perform a similar set of functions, making it more manageable both from a design and an implementation standpoint. Let's take an example. We have to design a large system which is represented by this single large monolithic block in yellow color. Based on certain principles, we will break down or decompose this bigger system into a set of smaller systems. Now each of these smaller systems is called as a subsystem. In an example, we have broken down a system into 4 subsystems, namely 1, 2, 3, and 4. What are partitions? Now each of these systems have a very well-defined boundary around it, and it supports and performs a set of related functions. This boundary creates a logical or a physical partition. The partition acts as a barrier, providing isolation and separates one subsystem from another. Let's look what our interface is. Now, a subsystem can be self-contained, that is, it does not need to interact or exchange data with any other subsystem in order to perform its functions. Alternatively, the subsystem can be dependent on other subsystems as well, and it may exchange data or send data to other subsystems, making that other subsystem dependent on itself. Remember, partitions are barriers through which you cannot communicate. We communicate through interfaces that are exposed by a given system. Thus, one subsystem can interact with other subsystem through an inbound or outbound interface as exposed by the subsystem itself. The degree of dependency is referred as coupling. More the dependency, the strong is the coupling, and vice versa. So, what is cohesion and coherence? These are the 2 concepts that would help us decompose a system in a more manageable and a meaningful way. We will cover both of these concepts in our subsequent videos. Let's talk about the scope of the system design. The scope is limited to filling the gap between the problem and the existing system. It does not address any concerns like product market fit, product adoption, etc. In fact, what we call high-level system design will not even address any implementation concerns. All such things are out of the scope of system design. You may be thinking, what is meant by the manageable way? We can qualify by saying that if our system design meets the requirements that were presented to us and it addresses all the major design goals, it is a complete system. And that defines the scope of system design, nothing more and nothing less. Let's find out how we can bridge this gap or how we can perform the system design activity based on what we learned so far. We will simply follow this 3-step approach. First, we identify the design goals that we care about a system. Next, we would use this divide and conquer strategy to break down large system that we're trying to build into a smaller subsystems, making it overall manageable. Finally, we try to produce system design, that is, we define the architecture, the components, and interfaces in such a way that it addresses the design goals. Simply by doing these 3 activities, we can build the system design of any system, no matter how complex or large the system is. Let me put emphasis on the word major in the statement that says address major design goals. This is due to trade-offs between design goals. We may not be able to address all the design goals, so we should focus on the key or on the major design goals that we care about. Let's tackle this another question. Why design is difficult? There are 2 ways of construction of software design. One way is to make it so simple that there are obviously no deficiencies. The other way is to make it so complicated that there are no obvious deficiencies. As you see, it involves trade-offs between complexity and completeness. So either you can build something simple but not make it complete, or you can make the system complicated but complete. As we go further and work on designing systems, you will realize that this is one of the most challenging skill we have to master, especially for the beginners. But once we know the fundamental and the techniques, and with practice, we will be able to balance both of these aspects and create awesome system designs. One of the questions that is often asked, is there a perfect system? Can you build a perfect system? Interestingly, the answer is both yes and no, as it depends upon the definition of perfection. If you just look at the definition of perfection, it states the condition, state, or quality of being free or as free as possible from flaws or defects. Now, let me emphasize the keyword here, flaws and all. What you may consider a flaw may be a strength for somebody else. Also, you may not be able to meet all the requirements 100% due to opposing system design constraints. Remember, in real world, perfection is a moving target, so you have to be realistic about what practically defines a perfect system. As a thumb rule, any system that meets the requirements, works as intended, easily maintainable is a perfect system. So based on your situation and your expectation, a system may or may not be perfect. So the question becomes, how do we keep the complexity in check while we design any system? We can simply use the principles like KISS to keep the complexity in check. KISS stands for Keep It Simple, Stupid. KISS is a design principle which states that designs and/or systems should be as simple as possible. Wherever possible, complexity should be avoided in a system, as simplicity guarantees the greatest level of user acceptance and interaction. So what should be our approach to system design? So I would say keep it simple, build layer by layer, and iteratively until we satisfy the design goals we care for. This concludes this video. Please subscribe for updates and provide your comments below so that we can improve this series. Also, the link for the online class has been provided in the description below. Please sign up. Thank you and see you next time.